Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Executive Officer, Microsoft, Steve Ballmer.
Thought I should come on down and check in with you folks and see how things are going. Any reactions to what you saw yesterday and today? Well, it's sure a pleasure and an honor for me to have a chance to spend a few minutes with you. We had a chance to lay out a lot of what we wanted to talk about today in terms of news with Windows Server, and with Windows Azure. What I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of a broader context, if I might, and talk a little bit about how we see the opportunity for all of you as developers going forward. I sure hope the show has been interesting. I know it's been fun. I went and checked how quickly you activated the machines that you got yesterday, and I guess I can tell you what you were all doing last night. I'm sure that was a lot of fun, and while it's clear we have a long way to go still with Windows 8, we've been gratified certainly by the reactions and the interest. In addition to the machines that we distributed here, there have already been 500,000 downloads off the website of Windows 8, which we were very gratified to see. Some of the reactions that we have heard, either in the press or through the blogosphere and through Twitter, from VentureBeat, Windows 8 reimagines user experience and adds major performance gains. From Tom Warren, I've never witnessed this much excitement in a Microsoft audience at a keynote before. It's electric. Thank Tom, and thanks to all of you. From Silicon Republic, Microsoft reveals its new Windows 8 OS, plenty of secret weapons. And perhaps my favorite from Good Coffee Code, I'm struggling to think of anything that would make Microsoft devs happier. Stunning news from Bill Wynn. It's really gratifying, really gratifying to see and to hear. But we got a lot of work to do. We have to complete Windows 8, obviously. We had a chance to give you the code for Intel systems. We got a lot of work to do also on the ARM systems, which are very important to us. You'll get a chance to play with much of the product, but not a lot of the live services. And of course, just finishing with the kind of quality and performance that we will require and that you want to see is a big deal for us. So a great start. We're happy to be here, and we're happy that you came and spent this time with us. As I take a look and think about kind of what we've announced here in the context of a broader set of themes that we've locked onto as a company, in a sense you could say that if Windows 8 is Windows reimagined, we're also in the process, and Windows 8's an important step of that, of reimagining Microsoft. And really reimagining around four big themes. Number one is new hardware form factors, and I'm going to talk about that. Cloud services, new application scenarios, and a new class and new forms of developer opportunity. Each and every one of these things is shifting our direction, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. And each and every one of them, I think, have incredible opportunities, not just for us, but for every developer in the world. The cloud services one, we and others have been talking about now for a while. And yet I would tell you, we are still very much early in the shift to cloud services. I was reminded about that in a customer meeting the other day. And still, while everybody's willing to say now, we're all in, the cloud, it's all about the cloud, the speed with which people really think that applications will move to be these continuous services that get delivered to these connected devices that Satya was talking about, whether it's through the browser or through more application-oriented forms like Metro-style apps. We are still very much in the early days of that phenomenon. Even as Microsoft, with our own applications, we're 100% committed to supporting these platforms and the cloud with our applications, and yet we feel like we've just begun to scratch the surface. So each and every one of these things creates an opportunity that I want to talk about. Our approach to these new opportunities is centered in Windows. It's not about doing something else. It's about broadly, as Stephen Sinofsky talked about yesterday, it's about broadly reimagining Windows. Windows 8 is a form of that. Windows Live, Windows Phone, Windows Server, Windows Azure. In a sense, it's all about pivoting, building on the technology foundation of Windows, and taking it in new and unexpected directions to reach new hardware, to reach the cloud, to create new developer opportunities. All of those things, for us, pivot around the changes that we're making in Windows. I was gratified, certainly, to see the response on Windows 8, as I said. I was also gratified to see some of the early feedback just this morning about Windows Server, because we do need to reimagine it for this world. There was a quote here, Windows Server 8, the ultimate cloud OS. Nothing from Microsoft, and I mean literally nothing, has ever been this ambitious or has tried to achieve so much in a single server product release since Windows 2000. Another quote, Server 8 will unleash a massive tsunami of new features, especially targeted at building and managing infrastructure for large multi-tenant clouds. And it goes on. So in every sense, every member of this family of products, the core platform on which we've built our company, we're pivoting them all with Windows at the center for a new class of hardware and services that get built by all of the developers around the world. We didn't talk here about Windows Phone because we did the launch of our Mango system, Windows Phone 7.5, a number of months ago. But I want to kind of emphasize and put a bit of a point on that. I think with Windows Phone 7, which we launched just less than 12 months ago, we delivered a really great product. With our 7.5 release, we've got a great update, and we've got an engineering cadence that has great agility in terms of delivering new capability. Certainly, you can see the kind of family approach between Windows Phone and Windows 8 itself. We're certainly sharing technology. IE is shared, DirectX is shared, XAML is shared between the two systems. The application momentum behind Windows Phone has really been gratifying, considering we're still early and relatively lower than the other guys in terms of volume. And we really appreciate your support. With the new release, we've doubled down on this concept of revolving life on the phone around the people who are important to you in your life. There's new phones. There's over 500 new features. We have the announcements over the last few weeks of phones from HTC and Samsung to be available in the US and Europe and other countries. And we're still all anticipating the great work that Nokia will do on its phones as they come to market and, frankly, help lead Windows Phone into new geographies and price points and form factors in ways that I think will be very important. And you'll see us just continue to invest in improving on what is really a very fine product, but still a product that's important for us to get, if you will, fully appreciated by consumers around the world. Great quotes on this one. Windows Phone, the operating system is a mix of elegant and whimsy that's a treat to use. From Gizmodo, it's striking how much more connected to people Windows Phone now feels than any other phone, even Android. So great start, thank you. Great start, a lot of work to do, but in no quarter as we move to reimagine Windows for new hardware types, in no sense is the phone anything other than one of our most important targets. x86 and ARM will both be important chip families as we move forward. And I think that's important for me to stress for this audience. It's not going to be Intel or ARM. It's going to be Intel and ARM for various usage scenarios and the like. PCs, tablet form factors, phones, new UI and input paradigms like the Connect paradigm that we've brought to the Xbox platform, new highly virtualized servers, and really, over time, completely reconfigured data centers where the relationship between storage and compute and networking pivots dramatically from what it is today. And it's that target, that vision of what we can do that's cheaper and more efficient and more functional for users, IT people, and developers alike that is propelling our ambition and interest in really working with hardware vendors much more closely to define what the future of these devices look like as you marry our software with devices from a number of manufacturers around the world. Cloud services, if you kind of scan and think about it, I told you I think we're very early, extremely early. Yes, consumers use the cloud a lot. Yes, there are a lot of websites. And yet, the notion of really re-instrumenting mission-critical applications, smaller applications, doing more interesting things in the cloud, I think is very early days. The kind of platform support and the kinds of innovation and new platform elements that'll exist out there are broad. Satya talked to you about compute and storage, access control and identity. Chris Jones talked yesterday about people, essentially, and ID as a platform in Windows Live. Notifications, certainly an important thing, as John Shuchuk had a chance to show you today. Big data, data as a business intelligence, and massive analytics as new services in the cloud. All of these need to be invented, put in market, made available both as applications and to developers as we move forward. And certainly, when I look at the list of things that we're doing in Azure and Windows Live, the list of new services to support exciting application development, it is a very, very long list that will come at a very, very fast cadence. And so while this is a point in time, we share with you what you have, as Satya said, it's important because this is an area where I think a lot of new opportunity will be created for developers and certainly a lot of value. The other thing that's important to us is we're taking a look at every one of our cloud applications and asking what aspects of this application might also be interesting to developers. In Office 365, how do we make SharePoint a general purpose platform that you can extend through Azure? Bing, how do we take Bing data and put it in a form where it is an extensible element that can be used by developers in your own applications? What else is there in Bing for which we should provide extensibility? And the list goes on. In CRM, how do we help you build general purpose applications that live off of our cloud service dynamic CRM product? So this push on cloud services through our applications, through Azure and through Windows Live is a fundamental part of rethinking, rebuilding, and reimagining Microsoft. In terms of new scenarios, we essentially as a company are in seven 7 businesses, 7 application areas. Phones, PCs and tablets, and TV devices through Xbox. And then a cloud platform, productivity and communications applications, search, and ERP and CRM. As I said earlier, each and every one of these groups, not just the ones you heard from today, are redesigning their systems around the platforms that we talked about here today. Each one of these are moving to the cloud as their fundamental business model. Each one of these, as I'm sure each one of you is asking, what kinds of new application scenarios can I build given that I have these new cloud services? Not just how do I change the deployment model, but how do I change the user model? How do I change my business model? How do I change the capabilities of my applications? So I want it to be clear, we're all in. We're retooling all of what we do around the platforms that we talked to you about over the course of the last 2 days. To me, this all adds up to a time of unprecedented opportunity for developers. Some great number of years ago, we got started evangelizing software developers. It's in our blood. It's kind of where we're programmed and what we think about. And if you stop and reflect, you'd say there's never been a better time to have software development as a core skill. We talked on the first day about how the number of developers is literally multiplying from the hardcore professional developers that might be 10 million to probably as many as 100 million people around the planet who are now writing applications. And the chance to do even more and have a chance to profit, if you want to, from that economically is growing. As you take a look at the work we've had a chance to talk about here today, I encourage you to consider a few things that I think will tell you that betting on us and the work we're doing will be an essential and valuable part of everything you do. This year, there will be 350 million Windows devices sold. There's no phone, there's no tablet, there's nothing on the planet, there's no operating system on the planet that will ship 350 million units of anything other than Windows. And that creates opportunity for developers. When we ship Windows 8, there'll be an installed base of at least 500 million Windows PCs that can be upgraded to Windows 8. If you take that whole pool of opportunity, literally many, many hundreds of millions of people will be the target for your innovation on day one, let alone the ability through the popularity of Windows servers and enterprises and the increasing footprint and visibility of Windows Azure for you to use those same skills to build applications from the service all the way on out to the device and then monetize with a range of new commercial models. Satya talked about the data marketplace. Stephen talked about the Windows Store. We want you to be able to sell apps and services and content and data. We want you to be able to sell for a single transaction or a subscription. We want you to be able to sell to consumers and to enterprises. And we want you to be able to make money from the work that you've done. And so taking the cost and complexity out of deployment and putting the opportunity in to much more simply put your applications and services in front of your customers and charge for them correctly is super important to us, and you can bet on that. We'll give you choice and we'll give you familiarity. Stephen talked about language choices. C++, C#, JavaScript. We want to make sure that we let you leverage skills that you have. Some of you will want to race with us to the public cloud. Some of you will say, hey, look, I still sell or work with enterprise customers who need to deploy things on premise and in private cloud. We're going to make that a choice that's easy to make and bind to late in the process. We talked about the level of investment we're putting into helping you target HTML, with or without Windows. How you can target Windows 8 and Windows phones and Windows Azure, Microsoft applications. And of course, we live in a world where we need to let you build services that also target and integrate with non-Microsoft platforms. And I hope through the demonstrations and discussions, our openness on that point was absolutely clear. Compatibility remains a hallmark of what we do, which is important to you as developers. If you really want to make maximum return on your investment, it's got to keep with us as we move forward. Windows 8 runs Windows applications that go back, now I guess I can fairly say, decades ago. Windows Phone 7.5 will run Windows 7 apps. Whatever the successor to Windows Phone 7.5 is, it's going to run Windows Phone 7 applications. The work we're doing in Azure to make it much more seamless to bring a Windows Server app to the Azure platform is all part of Microsoft's compatibility promise to create opportunity for you. We want you all, individual developers, 14-year-olds in their home, and people who are cutting code, who have a full-time job but cutting code on the side, small development companies, websites, application, custom development, large websites, large application developers, people who work for enterprises, come one, come all. It's the day and age of the developer. It's the day and age of the Windows developer. And so what? And in the day and age of the Windows developer, I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Let's move forward together, and let's seize the opportunity for developers, developers, developers. Thank you all very much.